Welcome back to the channel, folks. Tonight, we're diving into one of the most talked about Week 0 college football matchups. The Idaho State Bengals taking on the UNLV Rebels under the bright lights of Allegiant Stadium in Las Vegas. This is more than just a season opener. It's a clash that sets the tone for both programs as they head into the 2025 campaign. For UNLV, it's about continuing their rise after back-to-back Mountain West Championship appearances. For Idaho State, it's about showing they can hang tough against a much bigger opponent. Buckle up, because we're breaking down everything from player matchups, key stats, coaching changes, and what this game means for both sides moving forward. Let's start with Idaho State. The Bengals are entering this season with some cautious optimism. Under head coach Cody Hawkins, the team improved from a 3-8 record in 2023 to a respectable 5-7 in 2024. That might not sound huge, but in college football terms, that's a real step forward for a rebuilding program. The Big Sky Conference is tough, and Idaho State has often been overlooked. But this year, they return with 3 preseason all-conference players: lineman Striker Rashid, linebacker Nathan Reynolds, and defensive back Mason Young. Those guys aren't just names on a roster. They're leaders who will need to step up if the Bengals want to shock the Rebels in Vegas. On the flip side, UNLV has been on a roll. Last season, they finished 11-3 overall, went 6-1 in the Mountain West, and capped things off with an LA Bowl victory. That's a serious resume for a program that used to be a bit of a punchline in college football circles. The Rebels have flipped the script, and now expectations are sky high. But there's a twist this season. They've got a new head coach. Dan Mullen, who once led the Florida Gators, is now at the helm in Vegas. Mullen is known for his offensive creativity, and UNLV fans are curious to see how quickly his system takes hold. Can he keep the Rebels on their upward path, or will there be growing pains in year one? Let's talk history for a second. These two programs aren't strangers. In fact, UNLV is 7-2 all-time against Idaho State, including 5 straight wins. And when I say wins, I mean big wins. In their last meeting in 2022, the Rebels crushed the Bengals 52-21. Go back a little further to 2015, and it was an absolute blowout, 80-8. So historically, this matchup has been very one-sided. But here's the catch. History doesn't play the game. This is 2025. Both rosters look different. Both coaching staffs are new, and season openers can sometimes throw up surprises. That's exactly why fans are tuning in, because while UNLV is the favorite, Idaho State has nothing to lose and everything to gain. Now let's dive into the betting lines and odds, because they tell an interesting story. When LV is favored by more than 25 points heading into this matchup, that's a huge spread, but it's not surprising given the difference in talent, depth, and resources between a Mountain West program like UNLV and an FCS team like Idaho State. The total points line is set at around 65, meaning odds makers are expecting fireworks on the scoreboard. Idaho State comes in as a plus 1,800 underdog, which basically translates to less than a 5% chance of winning. But hey, this is college football. We've seen crazier upsets before, and those odds are exactly the kind of thing that can light a fire under an underdog team. The Bengals' biggest challenge will be slowing down UNLV's offense. Even though the Rebels are breaking in a new system under Dan Mullen, they've been one of the most explosive scoring teams in their conference over the past 2 years. Quarterback play will be the storyline to watch. UNLV still hasn't fully settled on their starter, with both Alex Orji and Anthony Colandrea expected to see time under center. That kind of uncertainty can sometimes be a weakness, but it can also be a strength, especially if Mullen is rotating quarterbacks to keep defenses guessing. If Idaho State's defense can't pressure the QB early, it could be a long night. On the defensive side for UNLV, they've lost some big names, but are bringing in a wave of transfers to fill the gaps. The Mountain West is no joke. Teams like Boise State and Fresno State can expose a weak defense in a heartbeat. so UNLV has been aggressive in recruiting players who can contribute right away. This matchup against Idaho State is almost like a live scrimmage for them, a chance to test out rotations, see who steps up, and fine-tune before they get into the tougher part of their schedule. But if they underestimate the Bengals, they could get caught flat-footed, and that's the kind of early season headline no team wants. So what about Idaho State's offense? The Bengals don't have the luxury of big-time recruits, but they do have grit, and they're not afraid to air the ball out when needed. Their offensive line, anchored by striker Rashid, will be key in protecting their quarterback and creating opportunities in the run game. If they can establish even a little rhythm offensively, they might be able to keep the game close early. But the reality is that they'll need to take risks, trick plays, aggressive passing, maybe even some no-huddle tempo. When you're a heavy underdog, you can't afford to play it safe. Look for Idaho State to roll the dice early in hopes of catching UNLV off balance. One thing you can't overlook is the venue. Allegiant Stadium, home of the NFL's Las Vegas Raiders, is one of the most impressive football arenas in the country. For many of Idaho State's players, this will be the biggest stage they've ever set foot on. That atmosphere can either rattle a team or inspire them. Meanwhile, for UNLV, this has become their home turf, and they'll want to put on a show in front of their fans. The stadium factor may not decide the game, but it definitely adds to the energy. And you can bet both coaching staffs are telling their guys to soak it in while still staying locked into the game plan. Let's zoom out and talk big picture. For UNLV, this season isn't about just winning games like this. It's about building momentum for a potential run at the Mountain West title and maybe even making some national noise. Last year, they were in the conversation longer than most people expected. With a new coach and a mostly new roster, the question is, can they sustain that momentum? For Idaho State, it's about respect. Winning isn't expected, but competing hard and keeping it close for as long as possible could send a message to the rest of the Big Sky that this program is moving in the right direction. Now, some fans might be asking, is there any chance Idaho State actually pulls off the upset? The honest answer, it's unlikely, but not impossible. College football has a way of delivering shock results, especially in Week 0 or Week 1 when teams are still ironing out kinks. If UNLV starts sloppy, turns the ball over, or fails to execute offensively, Idaho State could hang around longer than expected. The Bengals would need to play near-perfect football, win the turnover battle, and probably get a couple of lucky breaks. That's a tall order, but again, crazier things have happened on Saturdays in college football. Here's what to watch for specifically during the game. Number 1, quarterback play for UNLV. If Orji or Colandrea can settle in and command the offense, it could be over quickly. Number 2, line play on both sides. Idaho State will need their offensive line to hold up against bigger, stronger defenders, while UNLV's line will want to assert dominance right away. Number 3, special teams. Sometimes, in lopsided matchups, special teams can swing momentum, whether it's a blocked kick, a big return, or just consistently winning field position. Let's also not forget the coaching duel. Cody Hawkins is entering his 3rd year with Idaho State, and he's been steadily building his program, brick by brick. Dan Mullen, on the other hand, is making his UNLV debut after being away from the college head coaching scene since 2021. Mullen's reputation for offensive scheming is strong, but can he adapt quickly with a new roster? First impressions matter, and this opener is his chance to show Rebel fans that they're in for an exciting ride this season. For Hawkins, keeping the game competitive would be a moral victory and another step in the right direction for the Bengals. Looking ahead, both teams have interesting paths after this game. UNLV has their eyes set on October's showdown with Boise State, which could define their season. They'll also face tough non-conference matchups that will test whether they're ready for the national spotlight. Idaho State, meanwhile, will shift focus back to the Big Sky schedule, where every win matters if they want to push for a playoff spot at the FCS level. So while this game may look like a mismatch on paper, the lessons each team takes away could be crucial for the months ahead. So to wrap it up, UNLV enters this matchup as the heavy favorite, and odds are they'll come away with another season-opening victory. But for Idaho State, this is a chance to measure themselves against a bigger program, test their new roster, and build confidence heading into their own season. For fans, it's an early taste of college football drama under the Vegas lights, with two teams trying to prove something on very different scales. No matter the final score, this is what makes Week 0 special: the excitement,